Alright guys, what is up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm kidding. Okay, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another stepping stone. It is a new day, and it is a more hopeful day. It's a beautiful day here. And I know I'm gonna lose some people here. I am in China. I know, it's okay. You can click off, it's okay. I do be in China. It's true. But anyways, I want to talk about some of the things that have been going on in the past few days, but I want to come from a very different perspective. And I've come to do it at my roots. I don't know if there's anyone out there who has been watching me for the past year and a half, but when I first began, I made a lot of videos right out here. And consider it a subliminal message to get out in nature, guys. But anyways, I was initially going to make a video specifically talking and identifying, I guess, a lot of the root issues that I'm seeing in the US and that have really come to mind seeing the reaction to what has happened in the US. If you don't know, I'm referring to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But I do still intend to identify first, but I also want to come at it with a much more pragmatic and hopeful perspective. If you know me, I feel that it's very important for us to accept how we feel, and I feel like for the past couple days people have been feeling really strong and intense emotions, and personally I feel that it's necessary to respect that and let people process. If you have been online or seeing discourse, especially on social media in the past few days in the US, you'll also know that things were really charged and really grim and really intense. And I want to start by talking about some of the issues I see. Initially I was just going to title this something about like how we're seeing symptoms of a deeper disease, and I do believe that's what we're seeing, but I want the focus not to be on doom and gloom. I feel like it's easy to feel despair and feel hopeless and feel powerless. And one of the things that I sought out to do very early on in my channel and my platform was to live a life that was cognitively resonant, meaning a life that aligns with my beliefs. I believe that our voice matters. I believe that we can make a positive impact on the world. And for a long time, I wasn't living in accordance to that belief. I also believe that as someone with influence, as someone with platform, for me, it's not as much influence as many others out there. But what we say and do matters. I believe our words matter. I know, kind of crazy, kind of radical. But I do believe that our words matter, and I feel like a lot of what I aim to do, well, really everything I aim to do on this channel, is because it's what I've analyzed and identified and thought about my whole life and concluded is the greatest way that I can impact and try to change and inspire the world. For those unfamiliar, I have a mission statement crafted in my therapy workshop, crafted with my therapist, and it goes like this: to inspire people to be more curious, connected, and understanding of themselves, each other, and the world around them, so they may live a more authentic, fulfilling, and healthy life, be unafraid to dream, and be unrelenting in the pursuit of their dreams. Although now I feel like I need to add in like the word harmonious life as well, because I feel like that's a huge aspect of what I feel is needed and important in today's world. And if you saw the past few days online, many things were anything but harmonious. So let me start by talking about what I feel are some of the big issues at hand. So I feel like there's been a lot of focus on what we're seeing, which are like the symptoms, right? A lot of people, and I think correctly, it's definitely a factor, are pointing to rhetoric. I think that is true. I think that our rhetoric does matter, our words matter, and intentions are different from impacts. We can have good intentions, but we can also have a really terrible impact with the words we choose. And especially in times of anger and outrage, we are much more likely to say things we wouldn't say 24 hours later. And my hope is that a lot of what was said lately is as a result of that. But I know that some people truly still feel and believe the things they do. And that's okay. I'm not here to try and change people's beliefs or tell people that they should do this or they should do that. I feel that it is human nature to hate being told what to do. We are, at least for adults specifically, we are creatures of free will, or we want to feel that we're enacting free will. And I think it's necessary for people to change only when they want to, and when they're ready to, and when they're willing to. And that's the people I'm trying to focus on. There are a lot of people who won't listen to this and will never listen to this. And that's okay. I think a huge part of creating change is focusing on those, basically, using our energy wisely. Focusing our energy on the people who have not yet been lost. In other words, being preventative rather than reactionary. That isn't to say that there's no value in trying to be reactionary and trying to help people from the brink, but the reality is that it's going to cost a lot more energy and time. You can think about it this way. It's going to be a lot more intense and scary to try and talk down someone who's about to do a school shooting than it is to talk to 100 people online who are heading down the rabbit hole and the hatred and the path towards becoming a school shooter. They're all important work, but I feel like a huge problem. Alright, bear with me. I know I'm a little all over the place here. I feel like a huge symptom we're seeing is a lack of connection, a lack of understanding, and I think a lot of people recognize that. And I want to talk a bit about, also excuse the cicadas. I thought they were all dead by now. Looks like I was wrong. I want to talk more about how did we get here, right? I try to be a very problem-solving oriented person. I like to think of myself as a mediator. And I feel that mediation and negotiation is a very, very necessary and strong skill. And if you're watching this, odds are you probably resonate with me, and you're probably similar to me. And you probably are more mediator, negotiator, problem-solving minded too. And, these are things I've thought about for a very long time. The problems we see in the US and in our society. And I haven't really touched on them too much. I think a lot of them became clear around COVID and the quarantine era. I think one of the things that I saw in my personal experience was how disassociated and detached we became from each other. In my personal life, I had a really toxic friend group who basically during COVID, we only interacted online, and the lines simply got blurred or erased. There were no longer boundaries or lines about what to not cross. People were saying very heinous, toxic things to each other, being very hateful, being very vindictive, and it was a really toxic place, and it hurt me. It truly affected me and conditioned me, and that was a big part of why I started this journey of mine and this channel, to try and heal and find myself again, become the person I want to be again. And I feel like a lot of people lost themselves during the COVID era. Maybe not completely, but I would imagine many people might feel they lost a version of themselves. They might feel they became more angry, more spiteful, more pessimistic. That was definitely the case for me. On my end, I bottomed in 2020, it was like the worst point of my life. So I feel like I only could go up from there. But maybe there are people out there who have been in decline since 2020. The world certainly feels like it has. And I feel like, there's a lot of things going into that. One is not spending time face to face, not interacting with people, and having real life social connections. I often think that better to have a parasocial relationship, people watching me who resonate with me, who maybe have no social life, maybe have no friends in real life. Better to feel community online than none at all. But I do feel a huge thing is having community in real life. And it's hard, especially in the US. I feel like even from a city development standpoint, everything's car centric. It's very hard to get around without a car. And there's a lot of things there, right? As a society, we're very individualistic. We tend to be very private and reserved about what we talk about and who we talk about. And it's hard for a lot of people, I feel, to ask for help and ask for support. And that's part of why I try to make a lot of videos where I'm getting out into the world, I'm interacting with other people, and if not other people, I'm at least interacting with ourselves. Because I feel that that's one of the most important, it's really the most important relationship we have, the relationship with ourselves. And that is something I feel I've mastered in recent times. I can be by myself and be extremely happy and joyful and content and just have a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I feel like those videos don't get as much traction as some of my recent ones, which are more, even though my intentions were well, probably a little more doomsday-ish, a little more gloomy. And I want to move away from that as well. I feel like a huge part of the problem as well is the way we use online influence and the incentives of our online influence. And this is where I feel it's more structural, more systematic, and more of the disease, right? I think the symptoms we can all recognize. People are more hateful, more disassociated, more mental health is poor. There's so many things, and I could go on forever and ever because there's so many factors that go into that. The economy, urban planning, mental health access, the internet, social media, right? There's all these things. And I think a huge part of what needs to change starts with focusing on what we can most easily change, which is ourselves. I am a very introspective person. I know not everyone is, but I feel that it's a very important and useful skill. When we lack self-awareness, it's much more easy for us to be reckless with our words and with our actions. And, for a long time, I feared talking about a lot of these things because I felt like people would be like, get off your high horse, blah, blah, blah. It's really not my intention, and I know that it's not my intention. If it ever feels like I'm having a negative impact, I want and encourage you guys to call me out on it and say something about it. But for the most part, I feel that I try to be very mindful about my words and my intentions and why I'm doing things. And a huge part of why I feel I can do that is because I put a lot of effort into growing my awareness and knowing, you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you are. And I think a lot of people are lost. We live in a world where it's easier than ever to distract. And, whether that's social media, doom scrolling, bed rotting, watching Netflix. And a lot of people might also see that symptom and blame it on people, be like, people need to, stop being so lazy, people need to be more active, people need to get off their ass, and blah, 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 blah. I agree with a lot of the diagnoses but I don't agree with the approach and the solutions of a lot of people, because I think a lot of people kind of take the diagnosis to be the solution. Like, oh yeah, like this person just needs to stop doom scrolling. Duh. Okay, that was a little facetious. My apologies. I think most people recognize that there are habits in their lives that are very harmful to them and that are not good habits. And I feel like shaming someone only makes things worse. I truly believe that one of the most important skills of our day is acceptance, radical acceptance, and radical honesty. We have to accept ourselves where we're at and be honest with ourselves. And, some of my biggest goals on this channel are to be as honest and vulnerable as possible. And that's because I know how hard it can be to admit to ourselves or admit to others when we need help and when we need support. And I know there's a lot of people who, like me, are living lives masking and feeling empty or feeling unfulfilled. And I feel like that's a huge part of it too. I feel that a lot of people are lost and have no meaning or purpose in their lives. They're in a rut, feeling stuck and trapped, working a job they hate, maybe in a relationship they're miserable in, maybe working on a boss who's a dickhead, maybe living in a city or a country where they don't feel they belong. That was really where it began for me. And everyone's path is different, everyone has different experiences. But I think one of the most concerning things about the moment is that, I say a lot, our perception of reality is our reality. And I feel like there are many, many people whose reality continues to divide. And it's only getting worse, it seems. Over the past couple of days, I heard a lot about people blocking people and unfollowing people. I noticed someone unfollowed me. I don't know how. I try to be very, middle ground, which is probably a reason for unfollowing for a lot of people, You're not radical enough. You're not extremist enough. You're not, picking a side enough. I understand it. I understand the sentiment. I don't blame them. I believe and hope and choose to believe that most people are good people. And most people are trying their best and just doing what feels like the right thing based on their experience, their life, their perspective. And I feel like all the energy that goes into the us versus them mentality just perpetuates things further and further into decline. And it's easy to blame people. Or one of the biggest things is that I feel like it doesn't stem from the people. I feel like our anger is well-meaning and understandable, but I feel that the direction it's pointed in is not it. There are so many incentives. Some of it comes from people, from how we interact in our daily lives, what we consume, our habits. But the fact of the matter is, there's so much incentive from the top down to contribute to these really harmful dynamics in our society. Take, for example, social media. More engagement, more rage means more money, more advertisements, more time on their platform. I feel like a very necessary part of change is helping people realize what factors are at play and how they, as an individual, can respond. I think a lot of people realize how toxic social media is, and I think, thankfully, there is a growing movement in stepping away and refusing to use social media or have social media. Honestly, I feel like X, formerly Twitter, is probably one of the most net negative platforms on this planet. It's crazy, man. Just in the couple of past days, even Elon Musk, I'm sure you guys know who Elon Musk is, was just inciting more rage and division. And I don't know if it's on purpose, but I know that there's an incentive to do so. It means more engagement, more rage, more traction, more money. And I really believe that it all starts with the individual. We all need to realize for ourselves how it is that we are contributing to the problems in society. It's easy to point our fingers, it's easy to hate other people, and that's what, I try not to be conspiratory, but that probably is what some people want. Billionaires control our social media, they control our mainstream media. And, for myself, I decided long ago that I wanted to try to be like the most ideal version of myself and my channel as possible. And something I've noticed is that money clouds us. Whether that's in Congress, who's corrupted by money and I feel hardly even serves the people anymore, or whether that's an influencer who takes sponsorships and has a fear or has a guardrail stopping them from doing what's right. I'm sure there are people who want to talk about things, who want to address greater issues, but they also want to maintain their business and maintain their platform and their influence and all these things. So for me personally, that's one of the decisions I made, is I, as of now, intend to never partner with anyone or get sponsors of anyone. I want there to be as little barrier as possible between my true cognitively resonant desires and yearnings and my actions. And I feel like if I'm doing a Patreon or taking sponsorships, taking money from organizations or even governments, I just feel that it affects our ability to be true to ourselves. Maybe that will change over time, but I try to live a very frugal life, and I am blessed to be somewhat financially stable, where I can choose to be as close to my ideal as possible. And I feel like the world could be a much better place if influencers and platforms weren't so divisive and hateful and doomsday-ish and gloomy, And I think it starts from the ground level. It starts with individuals realizing and being more mindful. It starts with desire. We can't change until we want to change. And that's really my hope with everything I do on my channel, is that I inspire people to change, to be themselves, to live an authentic life, to try to change the world and improve the world. And I feel like it's really necessary, and I feel like there's more and more need for people to meet the moment. Sometimes I feel doomsdayish too. Sometimes I feel despair. Some of my past couple videos might have felt a little more in that realm, and I feel that's okay too. But I do know that I want to focus on being positive, on being pragmatic, on trying to inspire people. And it all starts with ourselves. We don't need to wait for other people. We can be the change we want to see in the world. And I feel that it's very necessary right now and very needed. And that's not to say it's easy. It's definitely not. It's very hard. In the past couple of days, I saw both sides of how intense people got on my own social media. It's hard to use even our social media. That's something I've only started to do in the past few months, trying to be vocal on my own social media. It's hard. And it's not about ideals. It's not about trying to be perfect. It's about progress. Progress, not perfection. That's what my channel's ethos is all about. A stepping stone. Just a stepping stone at a time. One small action. There's a book called Atomic Habits that talks about how if you just change things by 1% every day or every week, eventually it just compounds exponentially into the most crazy, almost magical of things. I forget who it was, maybe Albert Einstein, who said that compounding interest or something like that. Compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, or something like that. Maybe I'm butchering that. But it's true, guys. I truly believe it all starts with a small action and with ourselves, and I want to stay focused on that. I also want to talk about things that matter to me. I think I'm kind of doing a mix of both in this video, and I intend to continue to. I intend to just take it a stepping stone at a time, just do what feels right, do what's in my capacity, and just do my best, and trust myself. And I hope that you guys can do the same. And with that, I think I touched on most everything I wanted to. Alright, I hope everyone out there has a good day and stays well. Take care of your mental health. If we're not well, there's very little we can do to change other people and change the world. It starts with ourselves first and foremost. Sitting outside, sitting on a rock is underrated. Give it a try, guys. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching. Another stepping stone down. Stay well. Take care. Peace. Fist bump. Give me the fist bump. Give me it. I'm not ending the video till you give me the fist bump. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I felt cringe there. Well, that's alright, man. That's alright. Awareness. Awareness, guys. It all comes down to awareness. Alright. Peace.